In this short video, I'm going to assume that you're an educated Christian. You have a college degree and you've been trained to think logically and rationally about the world we live in.
Oh, great. Someone put this mess on my channel. Alright, we'll just deal with it. Oh, no, not that I haven't before. You see this website listed in the corner? Yeah, it's been around a while. Stupid as all get out. When it first came out, it was called Why Does God Hate Amputees? And I did a parody of it on one of my other websites. I'll give you a link in the vid description. But anyway, since it seems this mess is here now, we'll go ahead and thrash it a bit. There's 10 questions. Well, we'll do one or so at a time. That's about all I can stand before stuff like this makes me lose my lunch.
For example, you might be an engineer or scientist, a doctor, pharmacist or nurse, a teacher, a manager or an administrator, a government
or a garbage man or a crab fisherman or a guy who makes boring vids that look like 2-bit PowerPoints. Sheesh.
Religion. Here's an example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. As a Christian, you believe in the power of prayer. According to a recent poll, 3 out of 4 doctors believe that God is performing medical miracles on earth right now. Most Christians believe that God is curing cancers.
Whoa! See this vid? Let's get some things straight. I don't go in for this on-demand right-now view of prayer these nutballs think represents the reality. Yeah, I know, you got lackeys like this character who think that's the way prayer works. I know that. But you want the serious biblical grasp on prayer? That's not who you go to. You want to know where these guys who made that website went for their views on Christian prayer? Take a guess. Yeah, real professional sources there. Oh, now this refers to a poll of doctors. Well, I don't know or care what polls say, but if you want the best and most scholarly treatment of whether miracles take place today, including medical ones, this 2-volume set by a scholar named Craig Keener is the bomb, okay? Alright.
Diseases, reversing the effects of poison, and so on. So here's question 1. Why won't God heal amputees? It's a simple question, isn't it? We all know that
simple-minded is more
legs
like
do
it.
not spontaneously regenerate in response to prayer. Amputees get no miracles from God. If you're an intelligent person, you have to admit that this is an interesting question. On the one hand, you believe that God answers prayers and performs miracles. On the other hand, you know that God completely ignores amputees when they pray for miracles. How do you deal with this discrepancy? As an intelligent person, you have to deal with it because it makes no sense. In order to handle it, notice that you have to create some kind of rationalization. You have to invent an excuse on God's behalf to explain this strange fact of life. You might say, well, God must have some kind of special plan for amputees.
What?
So
God has a special plan for amputees. Great. That's what this guy thinks is our best answer. Okay, let me give you mine. It's a little dishonest to compare prayer for the curing of cancer to prayers for lost legs to regrow. I mean, let's face it, losing limbs isn't a pleasant thing, sure. But in the end, it doesn't threaten your life, and it ain't going to kill you the way a cancer could. So here's the bottom line. Smart Boy here has set the bar of expectation higher than it should be with his cockeyed view of prayer. Then he made it worse by equating cancer with amputation in terms of seriousness. Any more questions? Okay, I guess it's time for part 2 of this mess. Oh, before I start. Last time I referred to one of my vids as something you need to watch to get a full picture of what I'm talking about. For some reason I had at least 3 fundy atheists who were too dumb to figure this out. So I'll say it again in little bitsy words even you fundy atheists can understand. When I refer you to another video, watch that too. Okay? Oh, and don't accuse me of just making up stuff like Greco-Roman patronage, okay?
As a Christian, you believe that God cares about you and answers your prayers. So the second question is, why are there so many starving people in our world? Look out at our world and notice that millions of children are dying of starvation. It really is horrific. Why would God be worried about you getting a raise while at the same time ignoring the prayers of these desperate, innocent little children?
Alright, first of all, and this leads from what I said last time, This revolves around a view of prayer that comes out of crap like this guy's. I don't buy that view. I'm not of the perception that God is worried about me getting a raise, and that's not the type of thing I pray for. Okay?
It doesn't make sense, does it? Why would a loving God do this? To explain it, you have to come up with some kind of very strange excuse for God. Like, God wants these children to suffer and die for some divine, mysterious reason.
That got stupid even faster than the last one. Alright, well here's the thing. Questions like this one actually frost me, though not for the reason you'd think. Here's why. Know who this is? No, it's not Lex Luthor. This idiot is the guy who was elected governor of the state I live in. He's a corrupt and sleazy former businessman who spent over $70 million of his own money to get elected. And he got that money by overseeing the biggest Medicare fraud case in history at the time. Here's another point. I'd never dress Coco in anything that wasn't meant to just keep him warm. But according to the National Retail Federation, Americans spent this much on pet costumes like this one in 2013. Yeah, you could elect 4 corrupt bozos like that other guy with that kind of chump change. Now what's this got to do with anything? Well, it's just a microcosm of why these questions like, why doesn't God help starving children, really honks me off. Because God already gave us this, and this. And between those things, I think you've got a pretty good line on feeding the starving already. And even now, from what I can find, this is how much it would cost to solve world hunger right now. Now compare that to how much Americans alone threw away on online gambling last year. Kinda makes you think, doesn't it? So basically, the answer to this question is, God gave us what we needed to solve these problems. And in accord with my last point, it's not God's obligation to fix it when we screw it up, especially when we screw it up in ways that are contrary to what he teaches us. So, if you fundy atheists want to ask why God doesn't help starving kids, I say, if it worries you that much, go make a contribution to one of these organizations. Then get on the stick opposing all the wasted money going to things like these. Until then, I don't want to hear it. Okay, I skipped lunch, got myself in relaxation mode. Time for part 3.
Does God demand the death of so many innocent people in the Bible? Look up these verses. Exodus 35:2. God demands that we kill
argument by
everyone
outrage
on the
galore.
Sabbath day.
Let's get back to this
Deuteronomy
later.
Chapter 21. God and they're just like these. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Why would a loving God want us to murder our fellow human beings over such trivial matters?
Trivial?
Just because you work
Alright, let's get back to this part where the meat of it is. He gave 4 things he said were trivial. Now, I don't think it's right to try to cover all these issues in one place, but the good news is the second and fourth one I've already covered before, so I'll put a link in the vid description. Third one, that's not my area of expertise, so I'll have to pass. But this first one, yeah, I'll provide a link for that too, but I'll also explain it a bit here. Maybe some of you remember this bit I put at the end of another vid.
One day, an honest young father of a Hebrew camp was needing some firewood to cook his poor, hungry family's dinner. So he went out on the Sabbath and...
You know that what he did was essentially in-your-face treason, right?
Oh, for the love of Murgatroyd!
Now, maybe you fundy atheists are saying, how the heck is that treason? Well, like I said, there will be a link in the vid description giving more details, but here's the short version. Basically, this wasn't just a trivial matter of working on the Sabbath. After all the Jewish people had been through in Exodus, this was a matter of making an outright challenge to God to strike you down. Everyone had seen what happened to the nation of Egypt. They knew what God could do. So effectively, violating God's law with a high hand was the same thing as saying God wasn't really in charge after all, and screw the covenant you made with him earlier. That would be like someone burning the Constitution right in front of the faces of the Founding Fathers. But it's even worse than that. You may think that would be kind of stupid of somebody to do. Well, yeah, it would be. But if people had decided to get in your face with God that way, chances are they'd already decided to sign up with some other God, who they figured would be able to defeat the God of the Jews. So not only are you burning the Constitution in front of the founders, you're also hiring a hitman to take them out. So, bottom line in answering this question, at least as far as the example we used is concerned, these innocent people ain't so innocent. Part 4 next time. I better do something else to relax after that mess. Let's see. Oh yeah, video games. Here we go.
What have I got?
All right, here we go with part 4.
Question 4. Why does the Bible contain so much anti-scientific nonsense? You have a college degree, so you know what I'm talking about. You know how science works. You happily use the products of science every day.
Okay. Fundy atheist sermon time. I'll skip it.
You know that the Bible contains all sorts of information that's total nonsense from a scientific perspective. God did not create the world in 6 days, 6,000 years ago, like the Bible says.
No, wait a minute. All right, look, I'm honest enough to admit that this whole batch of questions about creation and evolution and all that, these aren't my specialty. Personally, I could live with any view on this subject except outright materialism. The one thing I'd like to address would have to do some with this matter of Jonah. Now, there's no question that under normal circumstances, this and many other events recorded in the Bible, like the resurrection of Jesus, aren't natural, as we'd say. What I have a problem with here is the implication that these reports make the Bible anti-science, because it reports events that supposedly violate the laws of nature. At the heart of this objection there lies a false dichotomy between the natural and the supernatural, which was created wholesale in the Enlightenment age. God resurrecting Jesus is no more a violation of nature's laws than one of us picking up a box is a violation of the law of gravity. While God's work may involve acts beyond our range of competence, the basic manipulation of matter and energy that the resurrection would have constituted is no more in violation of natural law than that of picking up the box. Miracles are just God acting in nature as any person would. The bottom line is, on this point, it's off the beam to say that the Bible is anti-science. That's all I want to say about this one. Part 5? Yeah, let's do it. I already took some Dramamine.
Huge proponent of slavery in the Bible. And why do all intelligent people abhor slavery and make it completely illegal? You have to come up with some kind of weird rationalization.
Now, wait a minute here. A proponent of slavery? Yeah. I'll start by saying that I'm actually working on a huge project on this issue right now. So all I'll give you for the time being is some provisional answers. First of all, in the Old Testament, what's depicted as allowed by God isn't slavery. It's what's called indentured servitude. This was a completely voluntary relationship, and it didn't involve any of the unique aspects of what we call slavery. No kidnapping, no viewing of humans as property, none of that. There's only one set of verses where you might be able to argue that God permitted what we call slavery. And I know some of you fundy atheists drool over this one. But I think you're getting a little too excited. I'll talk about that when my research is done. Now, in the New Testament, yeah, they had what we call slavery. But no passage makes out God as a proponent of it. What the New Testament does is recognize it as a current reality. You may say that's some sort of problem, and ask why the New Testament didn't just call on people to free their slaves. Well, I'll say a lot more about that later in my project, but here's the sum of the matter. People of that time were so ingrained with the idea that slavery was natural that they couldn't even think of the idea of abolishing it. In light of that, the New Testament had to take a different tactic, one in which slaves were seen as being equal to their masters in the eyes of Christ. That's not abolition, but it is a very effective psychological tool which would lead someone to eventually realize that there was no moral grounds for continuing to hold a slave. Like I said, those are just provisional points. I'll have my research done in a few months, and then I'll do some material on it. Until then, keep a lid on the dumb objections. Ready for part 6? Yeah, no one is.
Question 6. Why do bad things happen to good people? It makes no sense. You've created an exotic excuse on God's behalf to rationalize.
Oh, what happened? Did it get interrupted? What? That's it? Great. Dumbo reduced the problem of evil to a 5-second soundbite. Alright, look, since that's all it's going to be, I'm just going to throw you fundy atheist a link in the vid description to a series written by a friend of mine. You want to throw me soundbites? I'll throw you homework. Now beat it. After that last one, I wonder if part 7 will have any more substance.
Question 7. Why didn't any of Jesus' miracles in the Bible leave behind any evidence? It's very strange, isn't it? You've created an excuse to rationalize it.
Nope, it sure didn't. Well, newsflash, Fundy Atheist. I've dealt with this one in great detail in a couple of vids here already, so check the links in the vid description. And don't bother me until you answer all of it, okay? Time for part 8. I'll bet you're looking forward to it.
Question number 8. How do we explain the fact that Jesus has never appeared to you? Jesus is all-powerful and timeless, but if you pray for Jesus to appear, nothing happens. You have to create a weird rationalization to deal with this discrepancy.
Now, this one is really getting into super wacko territory. I don't know where this guy gets the idea that Jesus is supposed to appear to us personally. Part of it seems to be based on that cuckoo view of prayer he holds to, which we talked about in part 1. But apart from that, well, not much I can say. Because my only answer to that question, how do you explain the fact that Jesus has never appeared to you, would be, he never promised to, he's not obliged to, and he doesn't need to. Especially not because a bunch of fundy atheist babies want to whine about it. Deal with that. Part 9. Good thing we're getting close to the end, because at this point, even an empty stomach won't stop the nausea.
Question 9. Why would Jesus want you to eat his body and drink his blood? It sounds totally grotesque, doesn't it? Why would an all-powerful God want you to do something that, in any other context, sounds like a disgusting, cannibalistic, satanic ritual?
All right, first of all, I expect Catholic viewers are thinking this guy is attacking the idea of transubstantiation, while non-Catholic viewers are thinking, who cares, that's not our problem. Well, both of you, don't be too sure of that. I know Fundy Atheist, and I think this one is as dumb as the rest of them, including those who think Jesus literally meant you had to walk up to him in person and take a bite. Now, if that's the case, then of course he's attacking something no one believes. Now, if by chance he is a little smarter than that, and actually is referring to transubstantiation, well, I don't personally believe in that, so there's not much I can say. What I will say is that regardless of your stance on that doctrine, the clear meaning has to do with the use of fellowship meals as an expression of community. Plus, the elements of that meal is standing for the identity of the community in Christ as its corporate head. That's what it means generally speaking, with or without transubstantiation in the mix. So there you go. But like I said, don't count on him being that intelligent or informed. He sure hasn't been so far. Well, here's the last one. Part 10. You gonna miss this series? Nah, I won't either.
Why do Christians get divorced at the same rate as non-Christians? Christians get married in front of God and their Christian friends, all of whom are praying to God for the marriage to succeed. And then they say, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. God is all-powerful, so if God has put two people together, that should seal the deal, shouldn't it? Yet Christians get divorced at the same rate as everyone else. To explain this, you have to create some kind of convoluted rationalization.
All right, to start, can we dispute the claim that Christians get divorced at the same rate as non-Christians? Well, actually, yeah. As it happens, this is one of the things that this book refers to. So if you'll excuse me, I'm not going to just take this claim by Bozo here at face value. And from the sound of it, this is basically just a restatement of his first point on prayer, but where he brings in marriage as an example of how prayers allegedly fail. And we've already shown why he's missing the boat on that one. Anything else? Well, yeah, let me speak here as someone who's been happily married for nearly 24 years now. I do think a lot of Christians divorce because they don't take marriage as seriously as they need to. In other words, dare I say it, they've taken it with a free and easy approach that's more like what you find in the world at large. If there's any social reason behind whatever level there is of Christian divorces, that probably has a lot to do with it. So, there you go. That's the 10 questions. We'll see you around. Hey babe, want to celebrate the end of this crap with a date at Tijuana Flats? Yeah, that always gets her attention.